moving on. The last, there was some more controversy though that we had to talk about, and the biggest thing that always comes
Of
to Road
course.
America is the fact that there's the chicane for the first corner, and USPKS as a series only does 2 or 4 position penalties typically to base it around the bumper penalties. So by the time I think some guys must have started figuring it out by the time we got to the Sunday main events, we had at least I think 3 classes on hand. Guys were just completely, if they'd started in the back and knew that they were gonna gain more than they'd end up losing on penalties, they full throttle the chicane from the get go. So in the past, they've done barriers there. They've gone harsher on penalties. But when we go harsher on penalties, Ryan, one of your teammates, got dinged by it. That originally it looked like it was a cut track. Really, he kind of got knocked off. Toniolo and Micro in the pre-final, and then came back on right around where he should have been. Got a 2 position for it. So at least with the 2 position and the 4 position, the guys end up don't getting dinged like crazy if they blow it. Which with the way the series protest rules are, you can only really protest in the main events. But by the time we got to the main events, even if we wanted to hit them as hard as we could, we were only giving them 4 positions for jumping however many positions they jumped right up. So the question to pass on: what should the corner cutting decisions be? To me, I think the biggest issue that that corner presents beyond your starts is you can cut it if like you're getting past someone going on your inside and you don't want them to be, or it kind of catches you off guard, you gun it and get right in front of them. And for initially, we started penalizing guys and doing a 2 position for that. But if you're, I would say the question for debate, we'll pass it around the room, is if the outside guy is still nosing like good ahead, right? Is he allowed to go back in front? Let's say they're halfway up the inside, but they're not nosing ahead by the time the outside guy goes off. If he's just barely there, where do you call it? And does that deserve a penalty? Ryan?
I mean, I think for sure the outside guy is kind of, you know, at fault there. I mean, for sure, there's no way. Everybody who drives that racetrack knows that the outside does not work there whatsoever. So, I mean, if you cut the track, you deserve a penalty. I would have preferred if they would have had some cones or something there. Just because at the start, obviously, you've got 40 guys in some of these classes going into a chicane, which is not
What's a cone
ideal,
gonna do?
Well, at least it'll deter people from like just flooring it.
Yeah, I
You
guess
get a
so.
cone stuck in your tire or something, it's gonna like
Yeah.
hopefully
If
you'll try
you put
and go
enough so
around
where
it.
they actually hit a cone when they go through it, it might do
Yeah,
something,
it
or
depends on the cone,
barrier,
right?
a
I'm a big
barrier
fan
or
of concrete
something.
walls.
Just put a water barrier through it and nobody
Yeah,
will do
there
it.
you go. Now there's some easy
Yeah, but
solutions. It was pretty stupid though. Like on Sunday, like there were people that were just deliberately just going straight to the corner just to make up spots, and then they didn't give them up. And then USPCast decided 4 positions was enough when people were gaining 10+ positions doing it.
Right. Now, in all fairness to the series, they've stuck by that 2 and 4 position rule. They've been consistent with it all the way through. So, with the exception of unsportsmanlike DQ, that'll put you to the absolute back, 0 points, etc. Which there were 1 or 2 over the weekend, 2 actually that were given. One was given for a kid flipping off another kid as he pulled off the racetrack for wrecking him. And the other one was the kids got into a screaming match at the scales, and then I think the scale guy tried to deter it down, and allegedly he turned and started screaming at the scale guy. Now he obviously denies that. Scale guy says he did. In either case, he escalated when the guy told him to come down, and so just like an umpire, when a baseball manager gets too hot and he gives him a chance to be quiet, chunked him there. But that's the harshest penalties they've typically given. They've always run with 2 or 4. So up until this weekend, I think that was maybe a little more hidden, but it definitely got exposed by the chicane moving forward. They said they've actually used to do pylons on the inside of the chicane at Route 66, and then in practice they had them out, so guys started hitting them, and then at that point they broke. So then all that was left was at curb level these like very sharp shards that were like cutting tires or strafing chassis as soon as they would go over. But that definitely did not work well. So Braden, a concrete wall, right? That's the only way we can solve this.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
it's
I
the
think
best
the biggest
option.
thing I think the biggest thing would be put, like Connor said, the cones, but also don't do the race start so far down the hill, because by the time we get to turn 1, we were going like
Yeah.
full speed,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like dangerous, and people could be spinning out wherever, and some people had to use
it's
that.
something bound to happen at that point.
Some people had to use the go through the grass as a way to not hit other people, and you might have got docked for that or whatever. But I think we started way too far down towards the last corner. I think definitely have to move the start up if we go back next year.
We're definitely rolling a lot of speed when we get up to that corner.
Yeah,
The K pre-final on Saturday was like there was like a 25 car pile up. I came out of the corner after the top of the hill and I looked over. I was like, there's like 20 cars sitting right there. Yeah, but when you're going 60 miles an hour into a chicane where there's 60 carts going into it, something's gonna happen every single time.
Yeah, well, that too, right? The KA senior class ended up starting 52 or 53 guys going in, and I think at the best start, I think we only lost about 3 of them. So that's at the best. At the worst, yeah, we had some pretty
20.
massive pileups.
Yeah, I thought it was like 10. It was like 10 plus guys crashed on Saturday.
It was bad. It was very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it carried over and into 3 and all the way down. So it was interesting. But moving the start, I think, would help. I think the penalties. The other tough part too is without video, it's tough to just make the harsher penalties. I know for myself, calling at the top of the hill, I didn't feel as bad if we gave some guy only a 2 position and it was borderline that like you could argue maybe he would have had a lane or not. So it almost saves it there because it's not harsh. And in most cases, the protest is pretty simple and straightforward with GoPro videos since they allow it.